be recording. So let's Rancho Hajimas. Taiso, please, Ophelia.
Taiso, hajimasu.
Right. Not it.
Arms forwards in circles. Oh, hang on, keep going. And backwards. In and out. And at weird angles, up, down. Whatever angles you can think of.
So while I'm thinking about it, Daniela, we are having a pride party.
Where?
It's going to be on Zoom on the 25th of June. So you should absolutely put it in your diary and come.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Cool.
Arm behind your head. And hand tie. And shake it up.
Okay.
Taiso arimasu.
Right. Not it. Kyo no hajimasu.
No.
Cool. Hidari Chidang Maite. So, do you remember Tenchi Kendai Ike, Daniela?
Not by name.
You know the name. Excellent stuff. Okay, so we'll go through it with as much Japanese as I can remember. Okay. Ich, Maishidoriashi, Junzuki. Ni, Yakuzuki. San, my Kageyashi. Well, it's probably Shidori Kageyashi, right, Ophelia? Shi, step back. So Zentenkan, not Zentenkan, step back. And block, looking underneath your arm, front arm. So looking underneath your front arm. Excellent. Sanshi. Go. Indian dancing. Go. Rook. We call this the Ophelia special. So you come out, you swivel your hip, and you come back in again. What's my count? Rook. Sheesh, was it? Sheesh, which is a kick. Look how my Japanese went out the window. Hudge. Back to stance. We'll do this a few more times. This is the first thing on the Embu for first cue. It's done pair form. That was chaotic, as the video proves. So you can watch the video. We'll just do it single form. Okay. And again, to the count. Ich, Maishidoriashi Junzuki. Ni, Gyakuzuki. San, Kageyashi, Kagezuki. I'll call it that. Shi, step back, look under your arm. Go, Indian dancing pose. Sish, really special, good stuff. You okay? Sish, Hudge. Actually, you want to carry it age if you can, so as high as possible. Hudge. Back to stance. This is the first class you've done in this room.
Yes.
Yeah, that'll take a while. My whole room has been reorientated.
I just tripped over that sofa, so.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Take a moment to create your dojo and then back into Hidari Chidangabai. Ophelia, if you could count and I can watch.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, Go.
Wait, Indian.
Rock. Sheets. Hats. Kiss.
Looking good. Should we do the other side, or do we want to perfect that back? Let's perfect. It's me, so let's perfect this. You've got, so from Hidari, Chudangamite. Am I back to front for you now?
Not for me.
Huh?
Not for me, but I've also unmirrored myself.
Oh, I see. You've unmirrored. Fine. Okay, fine. Okay. Because I'm backwards to everyone, so I'm a bit confused. Okay, so itch. This is great. It's a punch to someone's head. You want a little crook in your arm to show that you're not extending straight. Knee. My sensei would absolutely have a little, he would want you to catch up with your back foot. And he's much taller than me, so I think that's the way for both of you to do that. San, step in. There's Fumi Komiyashi, it's a little step and a really definite attack. Now, when you're here, if you are facing forward, so you're facing the screen at this point, oops, that's not what I wanted to do, apologies, just stay there, keep feeling the burn. You should be able to see out of your, if you just look out of the right, without moving your head, look out of the corner of your eye, you should be able to see your arm. If you can see all of your arm, it's wrong. And if you can't see any of your arm, then it's wrong. It should be sort of head. And it should be covering. So if someone's trying to attack you with a big something, axe, kebab, whatever it is, it shouldn't hit your head. Okay, so that's that perfected. San, shi. So you start back by sliding your front foot to your middle, to the middle where your other foot is, pivoting your shoulders and coming back. So now you're in stance. And this one goes up. Phineas Sensei would say, get your arm up here and up. I'm a little bit more straight up. Okay, it's just a bit faster for me, and I'm incredibly slow on many levels, so that's just faster for me. But the effect is that you're looking under your arm with what feels like some kind of rain jacket over you with your arm. Very good in a festival. Go. So this we should do the way Ophelia does. She's come back and she's blocked over her midriff like so first, and then this has been slowly rotating, and she takes it out and she comes in with an uche uke. Yes, great stuff. That looks fabulous. And that is what I call my Indian dancing stance, because I also have my heel slightly off the ground. Okay. Go, rook, sheesh. So you come out, you push your hip out towards how you're attacking and come back into stance. And this time your heel is down. She said, go, rook, sheesh, hunch. It's looking excellent. One more from this side, just to perfect all of that. We'll just go a little bit slowly. Itch. Knee. Sand. Sheep. Go. Rook. Sish. Punch. Looking really good. One more. Itch. Oh, sorry. Wait. Yes. Itch. Knee. Stand. Now, for she, stay where you are. For she, your feet need to go back like this. That way, in a zigzag. Knee. So, she. cross. She's so cheap.
Rook.
Rook. Rook. I got that wrong last time. Rook. Siege. Hudge. I wonder you'll look confused. Cash, single cube. That was looking awesome. I like it a lot. Should we do the other side? Should we do one more on this side? What should we do? I think one more on this side, full speed. 3 more on this side, full speed. Because get into the Zen rhythm of it. From Hidari, Chidang, my toe. To the count. Tenchiken Daike. Ich. Ni. San. Shi. Go. Rook. Siege. Hudge. Chidangabai. Ich. Ni. San. Shi. Go. Rook. Siege. Hudge. Chidangamai. Ich. Ni. San. Shi. Go. Rook. Siege. Hudge. Cash. Shingle Q. Excellent work. That looks real good. Grab some water and we will.
Have you done Irish, Gary? Danny? Okay, probably not. So what we're going to do, possibly you remember tension, Gary, which means you step off the line, just kick back in without covering.
Yep.
So this sort of development, they are technically unrelated, but they're very similar. So they're going 3 stages. You have tension, which is when you step off. There's something called Irish Geri, which is when you stand your ground, you turn your body and kick. And what we're now going to do is we're going to do Ushiro Geri, so you're going to do the same, but you're going to shift backwards this time. So as the attack comes in, your entire weight's going to come onto your back leg, and your shoulders, which are usually at your standard sort of 40 degrees, are going to turn completely at an angle. So you're almost completely side on. From here, you're covering. You've got a really big stance. Think of these like these statues that I've got on my t-shirt. That's what you're channeling as you're doing these. So you want to go big, cross, kick, and then come back in again. Also, really, you're actually going to kick, and then you're going to just keep your balance and step away. If you've not got a lot of space, we'll forgive you if you just sort of return to where you were. So what the attack is going to be, someone's going to come out in the kebabzuki towards your head. As the attack comes in, step backwards off the line. You don't step, you just lean, kick them, and then run away. It's one of those kind of get me out, Martin Sensei calls them get me the hell out of here techniques. There you go. You run away. So we'll do a couple to the count. Each. Ni. San. Shi. Ko. Ruk. Chich. Hach. Ku. itself, I think it's hard to teach without knowing my Ryusui because it's a big difference. So in my Ryusui, your whole stance changes. You switch everything over, and this is really big movement. And you're doing the same thing, but the difference from here into here versus the difference from here into here is not nearly as distinct.
Right.
Where are you aiming with the kick?
Midriff. Yeah. Should you know the 5 more on the other side? 10 more on the other side?
10.
Yeah, from Migi. From Migi Nyogamai, I think. Yeah, Nyogamai. This literally is what this guy is doing. So it's your Chijigamai, but way bigger and way lower. Yeah, so this one's like a straight out at an angle. Think of about to whack someone with a stick.
Why would you be up in this, like, what's the...
Because you're guarding a temple.
That sounds pretty practical. We are always guarding temples.
My day-to-day life. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, so they got 1, 2, 3.
Oh, cheating. I'm cheating.
4. 5. Remember to turn your shoulders so you're almost sideways on.
This is throwing me off. Okay.
You can pull it in a little bit. It doesn't have to be that big when you're in the thing. So it's much smaller when you're actually in this Ryusui movement. So you can, from here, you'd like to take it in a bit and then retract it and then extend it again.
And you're bringing your front foot in to get ready for that trick, presumably.
Yeah, so you can keep your balance. Your foot is coming in as well.
So if you broke this down as a teaching point, you would go ich, ni, san,
Yeah.
out, height.
So from here you go really big, really small, kick, and then step back. Oh, comparatively small. Everything should be big. Where are we at? Cool? Look. Cheat. Hut. Good. Last one, making good. 2. Yes. Yeah, and Yogama is one of your least useful stances because it is this guy and this guy guarding a temple.
You could be raving.
And kind of guarding temples.
I mean, you could be raving, I suppose.
And it's like these are all like clapping.
Exactly. We are in Camden.
This is not. I mean, this is
Jazz hands.
jazz hands. Yeah. The end of performance, jazz hands.
Okay, so then the next thing on this kumi embu. Do you know what kumi embu means, Daniela?
Sorry, I'm really bad with the...
No, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. You're talking to me, who's really bad at it. Yeah, has to write everything down meticulously. Kumi, I think, in this context, still means small. Is that right?
Pair.
Huh?
Pair. Competition type, pair.
It means pair in this context. So it's your pair-formed embu. So it's a set of sequences that we'll expect as part of grading. And it sort of comes in at the same time as written philosophy, or roughly. And I was reading today about embu, that embu was the way that they passed techniques from generation to generation that worked. So the idea was this technique and this technique, put it together and it really works in a combat situation. Obviously, I need to teach it to you, so I'll put them together and give this to you generation after generation. Hopefully it'll be useful. That's kind of what the Wikipedia page says about this, which I thought was cool. So the next one is a technique that you will remember from Hidari Chudangabai Kamaite. Right? Now, if you, so you won't know that katate means one-handed, ryote means two-handed, so hand on each, and marote means two hands and one hand. So because if you're like me, it took me forever to learn that. But we're doing ryote yoronuki. Someone's basically grabbing you both hands. So if I get Ophelia to grab me both hands through the camera, I immediately go bang into kagite. And I pull back on my weight, and I use all of my hara, my weight of my center of gravity, to resist her who's trying to pull me out of the window or something. Okay? Now, I am going to check with Ophelia, but I would yoronuki out of the backhand, right? And that you've seen that before. And I would step through to push her back into her neck. So pushing onto her neck, and then yoronuki, sorry. That's the wrong way. I'm not watching Ophelia, I'm not watching things, but basically I'm attacking her neck and then yoronukiing out this way. So that's how you yoronuki out of both of them. I would then obviously smash her in the head with a paw grab, in the stomach, and all the other various things, and she'd be running away, so I'd have to kick her as well. Does that make sense? I think you do it slightly differently. Do you want to take us through? Do you do it slightly differently to that? Second release is slightly different.
I mean, the only difference that the only noticeable difference I think for me is, so the Howa version, so the Hokkai version is with the Danzuki. So after you've released, you're obviously going to hit them in the face, either with Kamade or with a Meishi.
Yeah. And
then you're going to pull the same fist that just released and just hit them. You're going to come back and you're going to punch them in the midriff again.
Right.
And what this does, hopefully, your punch is strong enough that it knocks them backwards. And then from there, you can drive through and release. But if your punch isn't strong enough, if they are just really tough, so they haven't really retracted, they've just kind of go, ooh. Then you do what Kavita did, which is you cut into the wrist, to the neck, to straighten everything out, so that you're almost drawing a bow. And then from here, you release. So otherwise, I think you do it the same.
Okay,
I usually...
Sorry.
Yeah.
So let's do 5 Hokkai versions, and then let's do 5 adapted versions. I think what I find genuinely is that everyone I train with, except Ophelia, although Ophelia's fiercer than everyone else, is just much, much larger than me. And so pushing them back with a punch never really works. I think that's...
Yeah, so, I mean, practically, you tend to need this just to extend, and it makes the technique a bit easier to do as well.
Yeah.
But I think I like to keep in mind that if they're smaller, especially if they're slightly smaller than your ordinary opponent, which is this big, then with enough force, you could also just shift them back straight away. And if you've done that, don't worry about this.
Yeah.
I see people cut back, and then now they're like, what, you weren't supposed to step back. Now what do I do? They get flustered because their punch is too strong.
So why don't we go and slow it all down? Because I think, oh yeah, sorry, did you have a question?
Can you show me the release?
Yeah.
It's hard to picture.
Yeah, so say you're grabbed one-handed, so someone's grabbed you here, right? So if they were doing that, if they were grabbing you, you would have this sort of whole their fingers around your hand. You probably remember this, right? But it's the other way around. And what you're trying to do is to come through those gaps. See what so from here, you're trying to come into that gap. Now, the easiest way to think about that gap is either to cut into the fingers so that you're out of it, like so, or, as I think of it, is just pushing this elbow into their head. So rather than worrying about releasing, I'm worrying about hitting.
Gotcha. Okay.
Cool. Excellent. So from Hidari, Churangabai Kamaite. So really slowly. So yoi. Firstly, you're grabbed and you open your hands. Okay? You slightly push your weight to the back, and then you release the back hand. Oh, are we going to kick them? Yes, kick them and Kentucky them. But release your back hand. And then from here, make a little paw with your hand and smash them on the head. As Ophelia said, bring them back and hit them. They've stepped back. So this means that you can do exactly the same on the other side. So in, smash, and then take them out somehow. Okay? Let's do that a little bit faster. So knee. Oh, sorry, from Chidangabai. Knee. So open up, release, sorry, Kentucky, release, punch, release, step through, take them out. I think they grabbed you, probably be for your toilet roll or something. Back to stance. San. Weight back, open into Kigite, atemi them. Release. Release backhand. Renhanko. Okay. In your own time. She. It's okay. Go. Okay, so this next 5 on the same side, they are 7'2". We need to really release out of them, so we'll just do this slowly. Go rook, so back, itemi of some kind, release the backhand as we did, punch them, they didn't step back, so step through and take out their neck. Now release, now they should be straightened up, release your backhand, punch again, or just go into Renhanko. Go into Renhanko, it's much easier. So just follow on with some attacks. Back to stance. Goruk sheesh. Back, release as we were doing. That didn't work. Neck, release, take them out. Sheesh. Hutch. There's lots of atemi in here that I keep forgetting. Hutch. Zhu. And because I missed it out, number 9. Come on, then. How does that feel?
I think yours is better for practicality reasons.
Yeah, mine's the only one that works for me, I've realised. Because you're coming out, I mean, I don't even do the atemi, and you know how much I love somebody attacking me like this. But I don't even naturally do the atemi because it's too slow. Someone's grabbed you. The only time I've ever used it practically is when my brother and I were fighting over car keys. And so he grabbed both my hands, one had the keys in, and I actually released this way. And by that point, he just like let go because he's not, you know, he doesn't train in anything. That's the only time I've used it. But I think you want to get out quicker than you want to spend time faffing. In fact, even if I'm randoring with Alid, I don't want to spend time faffing. Sorry.
I about them in terms of like if somebody was actually attacking me, and if somebody actually grabbed me And for me, that's where I like what you were doing, just because getting into that pattern already of, like, I feel like this is incredibly forceful. And what Ophelia was saying about drawing the bow, I felt like that was the only time where I can really get my hand back enough to release. Part of that is that I'm very gangly, so I kind of forget about this sometimes. So I liked that part of it.
Yeah, no, and I've got it for a completely different reason. If you grab my hand, my wrists are so thin that actually most people can go, you know, over it several, like, you know, a full thumb. So,
I was practicing some of them with Pierre, and he was just grabbing me like normal, but same thing, because my wrists are so small. I couldn't. I was like, you have to let go a little bit. I can't practice. I couldn't get out. So
we can definitely, when we're back in the dojo, show you how to get out of that. There's loads of things to make that effective. Some of it is all the pressure point stuff, and that's the stuff definitely in this technique to focus on, I would say. Let's wrap up with a little bit of Hawa, because we. So I think we will finish up with the Doken. So for several weeks now, we have taken each line of the Doken and really analysed it in the best way that we feel possible. I've learned a lot from going through the process, to the point that I'm inspired to stick it together as a little podcast and release it, because I think it's been really interesting. But the question remains, what is Shinjo for? You have a bit of paper. Tell us. Excellent.
We strive to master the art and discipline body and soul. We love our comrades and help each other. We cooperate and endeavor to establish an ideal world.
Sweet. So I would break that down into 3 parts. So the first part is about training, right? The second part is about our comrades. And the last bit is about reiterating the thing that we've talked about again and again, which is, who are we doing this for? Is it for ourselves, our community here in the club, the wider community of that we bring together, our friends and family, or our nation state, or our world? That's quite profound and quite big. Is there anything with this statement that ever concerns you, push back on when you say it?
For me, the discipline part.
Oh, okay.
Because I feel like discipline has kind of a negative connotation to it. And everything that kind of jumps out to me a little bit. And when you put discipline and body together, for me, that's difficult, because for me, sometimes the kindest thing that I can do, or the best thing that I can do for my body, is to not push myself. So I think maybe I'm just looking at it wrong. Maybe discipline in that sense is having the discipline to not push past my boundaries.
Yeah. So I'm sure Ophelia has a take on this, but my take has been that we certainly have other philosophy that says don't push beyond your physical limits. So train to your own ability is how it's phrased. But for me, discipline has steadily increased. So, you know, this is a martial arts for me that brings both mental health benefits as well as the physical benefits. And we know from academic studies that both are linked. You know, the endorphins that you release when you're working out definitely improves your mental health. Improved mental health means that you can work out more, and it's this weird circle of improvement that you go through. By sticking discipline in, for me, it's been it's about just making small tweaks to things, right? So there's this thing where if you want to go for a run in the morning and you can't be like motivated, just leave your shorts and t-shirt at the bottom of your bed. So the first thing you see as you get out of bed is like, okay, I'll do that first. and you get motivated to do it. That's a small discipline change for me, which is to do that at night. I always have my Kempo bag always ready. So that's not the one thing that stops me from like leaving the house to get to the dojo. I'm just like, I pick it up, and once a week I make sure I've packed it ready to go for the week. And then that starts transcending into all other parts of your life. So then if I'm sorting out my Kempo bag, I can sort out a couple of meals for the week. I can sort out, that actually making a date to see that one friend that's going to cheer me up during the week when I know I've got horrible meetings to go to. And so that discipline just creeps into everything you're doing. But for me, it's been a very slow process. I see the person I am today compared to the person who started Kempo is very different. Could just be age, could not be Kempo at all. I don't know, but who knows. What were you going to say on that, Ophelia?
I think my view on it is very similar to yours, and I think the definitely the most prominent aspect for me is that it doesn't necessarily tie back to my training, or at least I don't feel particularly disciplined in training. I think what sort of motivates me to push myself in training and to sort of discipline myself in training is others rather than myself. And so that's more the sort of community aspect. It's got very little to do with like my personal discipline, but I see it in other parts of my life. And I see myself missing that discipline while I'm out here. So I used to wake up every morning and empty the dishwasher. That's the first thing I did every morning. I'd make myself a cup of tea, empty the dishwasher, clear away all the stuff in the drying rack that's been drying overnight. So I clear up the kitchen so that everything clean is where it's supposed to be. It was like the first thing I did every morning, and I woke up the first three mornings I came out to my grandparents' house. I woke up, and the first thing I did was I made myself a cup of tea, which I never do because my granddad's always the first person out of bed and makes tea for everyone. But I went down and made myself a cup of tea, and I stood there in the kitchen, and there's no dishwasher to empty, no dishes to do. What am I doing with myself? But also, like, so that's the first part. And the interesting thing, Daniela, I think, nor have probably, I think Kavita might relate to this a bit, but I've never had the same issue. I've always found that I haven't had enough discipline with my body. So I thought that was a very interesting take on it, a very interesting perspective to have, that actually there's also such thing as too much discipline. And when I first started training, I was training 10 hours a week, and maybe you could argue that that's maybe a bit too much, but I felt like I was making up for 20 years of not exercising. Ever.
It's all relative, isn't it? So it's maybe that was exactly what you needed.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's interesting to have people with different perspectives like that.
And then moving on to the rest of that sentence, I think the word comrades at the moment, just because of the political nature of the UK and where it's gone through in the last few years, that word kind of grates to me a little bit. It's just, and considering where this martial arts comes from, it's hilarious to me that we use the word comrades as well. So all the political side of both Kempo and what's going on in the world sort of grates to me. But I feel incredibly, over the years, and again, this is exactly the same as discipline, over the years as I've acquired more discipline, whether it be for training or for life, but I kind of find that I have become more attached to this community. And I've said it already loads, but both the club and then how the club has supported not just me, but the whole community that we are through lockdown has been really special, and will be a very strong part of both my narrative, but also I hope the club's narrative. So if I move comrade to community, that's enormously important to me. And I'll touch on the last bit as well. I find that has transcended the wanting the world to be a better place, has really drifted into my work as well. So I think when I first started this, it was, I would definitely, my work was all about making money, making a lot of money. And then, but now it's drifted into like, okay, that's not as important. It's about what's really important to me is about making the world a better place. And you have to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a call at 12, so prepare.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I find with the ideal world part that maybe it's a bit selfish, but for me, until recently, all I could really focus on was kind of my world and the people like that extended to within my world. And trying to focus on finding a balance between I've always been like all about like outward, you know, kind of this sort of idea of establishing an ideal world. And I would put that first above pretty much anything else internal for myself. And not that I didn't get anything out of it at all. Like it wasn't like, oh, my life was terrible, but I would always put that ideal world thing first. And so for me now, I'm trying to remember that like this is a world as well. Like my mind and body and myself, it's that in and of itself is its own world that needs to be ideal in order for anything external to also be that way.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, I'm done.
I was going to say, yes, I can really resonate with that. It's about forming boundaries between those, you know, the internal and the external. It's about making sure that you're I mean, there's so many Kempo philosophies. It's like living half for yourself, then half for others. It's definitely about, making sure that you're in a place to be, you're not always just giving, if that makes sense, because you can't, it's too draining and too emptying after a while.
Also, I think realizing that they're connected is where I've been recently. So I think I've established a lot of those boundaries, and now I'm back at a place where I'm like, actually, when I am fulfilled and when my world is right, then I am a functioning member of the rest of society and the rest of the world. But without that, I'm not contributing what and how I can. So
yeah, no, I completely agree. And on that note, I think we should hold on to that thought going forward and end it there. So, ランチは終わります。Re, nade.